it's Kathy Kress again, and I am back with my YouTube channel, Geriatric Care 1, and we are doing playlist, Death and Dying, and what a geriatric care manager does, and we are at number 4. So, what is palliative care? What's hospice care? Because that's who you're going to be dealing with as a geriatric care manager. Well, it's a team-oriented approach to death and dying. And it's family-centered care, which I've been talking about in the first, second, and third episodes. That death and dying doesn't just have to do with the person who's dying, it has to do with the whole family. So hospice and palliative care involve a team-oriented approach with the professionals and the family. Hospice isn't a cure, it's there to manage pain and make death comfortable and educate people on the symptoms as they go through, make those symptoms bearable to the person who's dying, and explain them as you go through the passage of dying, what they are to the family members. And we were just talking about this before with the person who's filming this, and the end of life can be very loud and scary to the family. So that goes back to self-efficacy, explaining to the family what's going to happen and explaining how they can emotionally handle that. So most families hold off till the very last moment to involve hospice and palliative care. But you can actually involve hospice long before, and you can go in and out of hospice care now. And so it's a really good idea to do it. But your job as a geriatric care manager is to help the family decide when to involve hospice and palliative care, to educate them and let them make the choice. Palliative care has a focus on the symptoms, and it's there to manage the symptoms, not just to dying, but any part of the disease process. Because sometimes dying takes it's a very long process. There's, many stages to it. So palliative care is there to do that. And palliative care involves support, and it involves emotional and psychosocial, spiritual needs. And I just gave an example in the first episode of me being a part of palliative care, and palliative care was essentially a step to get to hospice. So it's a pre-step to hospice. What's your role with palliative care and geriatric and hospice? You're there to introduce palliative care, to help the family know that choice is out there and how to get to it, and what hospice is as well. And but you can offer services to the dying patient and their family along with hospice and palliative care once you've brought them in. You can work with a hospice team, because it's a team approach, I just said that, and be a liaison to the medical treatments, helping schedule the doctors, and because doctors are a part of hospice now, the nurses, all the web of people that come in through hospice to help schedule that. To help everyone communicate, because there's a lot of people, if their older person is dying at home, there's a lot of people coming through. And also to help others support. For instance, I was in a case once where an older person lived at the very top of a hill in San Jose. And he had been, his passion in life had been midwifing a trail through Highway 17, which is where we live, up our small mountains. And so I, as a geriatric care manager, was able to get all the volunteers from the group that he had helped build this trail with to come up and augment the family. And so they volunteered to sit with him under the directions of hospice, but to be a part of his family support. And I, as a geriatric care manager, knew enough about him to be able to access this group. I've gotten a Rose Society to help older people die when there wasn't very much of a family. So your job is to mobilize the extended family support system. And durable equipment, hospice orders that, but did it get delivered? is it the wrong mattress? It's not working. Whatever. You know, are there too many people in the room? Did they bring the great-grandchildren in and they're making too much noise? You know, you're kind of a facilitator of the home situation. So your role is to also arrange transportation, because the family often needs transportation, and to educate the family members, same thing that I said in the last episode, to, what's going to happen, because I said the stages of death, often family members don't know because they're in denial, or really don't know. And so to explain to them what's going to happen, hospice will do that too, but to educate and to collaborate with hospice, because you're working under the direction of hospice, and to bring in spiritual help too. Because, I mean, for instance, in the gentleman that I helped with the top of the hill, his spirituality was nature. So I brought in the support system from his group. The gentleman that I talked about in the first episode, he was Catholic. So we brought in, priests from the Catholic Church to give him communion at home. Whatever it is, you created a trail, and environmental things are your spirituality. But to bring that, because it's the last passage in life, and no matter what, it can be scary, or you can compromise with it and accept it through that. And so you also have to work as a geriatric care manager with a medical social worker from hospice. And so you need to, know what the medical social worker does and what you can do to support them, and divide tasks under the direction of hospice and work with them. So you're collaborating and working under the direction of hospice. I will see you next time, and go to my website, kathykress.com, and my blog that goes right along with this.